The word Swacha is used here to indicate that he appears out of his supreme will. The conditioned soul is forced to accept a particular type of body according to his karma given by the laws of nature, material nature, under the direction of the Supreme Lord. But when the Lord appears, he is not forced by the dictation of material nature. He appears as he likes by his own eternal potency. That is the difference. The conditioned soul accepts a particular type of body, such as the body of a hog, by his work and by the superior authority of material nature. But when Lord Krishna appears in the incarnation of a boar, he is not the same kind of hog as an ordinary animal. Krishna appears as Varaha avatar in an expansive feature which cannot be compared to an ordinary hog. His appearance and disappearance are inconceivable to us. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly said that he appears by his own internal potency for the protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non devotees. A devotee should always consider that Krishna doesn't appear as an ordinary human being or ordinary beast. His appearance as Varahamurti or a horse or a tortoise is an exhibition of his eternal potency. In the Brahmi Samhita, it is said that Ananda Chinmaya Rasaprati Bhavai Tavai. One should not mistake the appearance of the Lord as a human being or a beast to be the same as the birth of an ordinary conditioned soul, who is forced to appear by the laws of nature, whether as an animal, as a human being, or as a demigod. The kind of thinking is offensive. This kind of thinking is offensive. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has condemned the Mayavadis as offensive to the Supreme Personality of Godhead because of their thinking that the Lord and the conditioned living entities are one and the same. Narada advises Dhruva to meditate on the pastimes of the Lord, which is as good as the meditation of concentrating one's mind on the forms of the Lord. As meditation of any form of the Lord is valuable, so is chanting of different names of the Lord, such as Hari, Govind, and Narayana. But in this age, we are especially advised to chant the Hare Krishna mantra as enunciated in the Shastra Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. ओम अज्ञानातिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखाभितं च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे लीलाचल निवासाय नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय ते नमः. So thank you so much for joining this wonderful Sangha. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about instruction of Narad Muni to Dhruva Maharaj through this beautiful verse which is on the screen. So as Narad Muni is gradually explaining to Dhruva Maharaj, initially he asked Dhruva Maharaj to chant. And then after that, Narad Muni is asking Dhruva Maharaj to do deity worship in the form of a in the form of a wood or a marble or however you can, you should do the deity worship. And now in this verse, Narad Muni is explaining about the importance of meditating on the forms, eternal forms or incarnations of the Lord. So as you can see, Narad Muni is gradually explaining some of the basics, tenets of bhakti, right from chanting, which is like bhajanam, then deity worship is archanam. And now, in this verse, Narad Muni is explaining the importance on meditating on the forms of the Lord, or meditating, or mananam. So, of the 9 processes, which many of you know, the gradual progression, not something is higher than other or something is lower than other. But all of these processes are typically embraced or absorbed by devotees. Starts with bhajanam, then and the nine processes are very well laid out, and it is explained by Prahlad Maharaj in a different verse in this Srimad Bhagavatam. But the basic focus of bhajan, archanam, and mananam is glorified in this verse. And here, when Narad Muni is explaining about the origination of the forms of the Lord, he's explaining Swachhavatara. That means we we come to this world by virtue of our prarabdha karma, our ability to be of certain height, 6 feet or 6.5 or 5.5 or 5 feet, is decided by the Lord. We can't pick to choose the height of ourselves, our skin color, or our appearance, or where we are going to take birth. We don't have a choice. But Lord is Swachhavatara. That means he can choose where he is going to come. As you may have seen, some of all of us have come through our mother's womb, through the labor pain and everything. But Krishna, the eighth child of Devki and Vasudev, he appeared. He appeared in the jail. He didn't have to go through the processes which is so well laid out in the medical journals. So the bottom line is Swachhavatara. He can come anytime in any form. And he does what? He does activities. Charita, he does activities. And when he does all this, some of these activities are inconceivable. Srila Prabhupada, in his purport, is explaining that when a hog is in the street and the Varaha avatar, who is Varaha or boar personified, he's so huge. He's so huge, it's unthinkable. In the third canto, not long ago, a year or two ago, we all discussed the appearance of Varahadev, how Hiranyaksha was causing mayhem in this material world, and how Varaha, through his hoods, could go down. Huge Varaha, huge. The Varaha, you can't even imagine. Probably million times of the current hogs you see here in this material world. And he could take out Mother Prithvi in his hoods to protect. And finally, the fight erupts between Varahadev and Hiranyaksha. And Hiranyaksha was killed. And the fight went on for days and months and years. And that's why it's inconceivable. It's unthinkable. Sometimes Lord doesn't come in the form of an animal. He comes in the form of a man. Sometimes man and animal together. Varaha is animal. Matsya, aquatics. Human being, Ramji. And sometimes human being and lion, Nrsimhadev. Inconceivable. Can't think of. Swaicha, by his own potency. Nija Mayaya. And what he does? He performs. He performs his activities. And one should meditate on that form of the Lord, which is very attractive. So that's the topic of the conversation, which tadhyayat dhrayam gamam. That means he's very attractive in that pastime. So let's discuss a little bit by going deep into this verse. So, as you know, Bhagavad Gita talks about 5 essential tenets. One is Ishvara, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna himself, and his subsequent incarnations. And then the second essence of Bhagavad Gita, which is described, is Jiva or spirit souls. So Ishvara, Jiva. And the third thing is Prakriti or material nature. How beautifully Lord has created this material nature for our consumption. But when we start misusing it, we pay for it. And the fourth one, which is essential in Bhagavad Gita, which is described, is Kala or time. We can control a lot of these things. We can do uh, praying, we can control our consciousness, we can take care of the material nature, but we cannot control time, as in what we thought is going to happen 20 years later and what happens 20 years later can be way opposite. Kala, that's why Krishna says, I am time. Main samay hu. You might have seen in the TV when it opens, Krishna says, Main samay hu. I am time. Nobody can fix time. What you all thought will happen to you at certain point in time based on the relationship you have and the relationship you had it can go totally haywire. And that's the fifth dimension Krishna brings, which nobody can, Kala or time. So Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala. And what is the fifth one? Fifth one is Karma. Karma is prescribed duties. So these are the five essence of Bhagavad Gita. Now that, but here, let's focus on karma, which is uniquely different from the other five. Other five, as Srila Prabhupada says in his introduction, the other four, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala, they are transcendental. But karma can be material. Karma is something you do. When you think about karma, a lot of up and down has happened in terms of karma. We'll just take an example, Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni is so potent. He was the person who did the wedding of Ramji and Mother Sita. He was so potent that he could able to be ecstatic when he performed the wedding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Ramji and Mother Sita. And if you look at the Charitamrita of Vishwamitra ji, he went through a lot of up and down. Vishwamitra Muni. He did the wedding or Kalyanam, as they say in South India, of Ramji and Mother Sita. Then he had a fight with Vasishtha Muni. There is a bit of a tussle which happened, and it is well described. And finally, to one of the uh, one of the apsaras sent by Indra, Menaka, he had to lose, or rather, in this technical term, he had to fall down. So karma is a thing which can transcend by virtue of our good consciousness, and it at the same time, at the same duration, it can prompt us to fall down, which which is why karma is slightly unique in comparison to the other four tenets of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the reason why here Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport that by the karmic process, some people think we have soul and we have super soul watching us, like the bird in the tree, which you may have seen on Bhagavad Gita, which is watching the bird who is eating the fruits of the tree. But the same bird, thinking that he is living with the super soul in the heart, can be one and the same, is a very thin path which many Mayavadis tread. They think the Lord is living, Lord is like us, Lord has taken the form of a hog, and you have in the form of a varaha, and there is this hog, they're one and the same, there is fish, they're one and the same. So we are God. This fallacy is very nicely cleared by His divine grace. And this is where our karma comes into picture as to how we see every path or every step of our journey. Because this differentiates us from our day-to-day life. Today, we may be highly conscious, but with the effect of karma, with the effect of material nature, we may choose to do something which is not recommended. And we have seen people have gone up and down all their lives. And that's a difficult thing. And in this context, nobody should ever think that Lord, who is taking different forms, is any ordinary. But that's why Narad Muni uses the word achinta. That's why our philosophy is achinta veda veda. We are in, we think our process is inconceivably, achinta means inconceivable. We can't conceive that Lord can take this form, inconceivably one and the different. And that is our philosophy of Gaudiya Parampara. So going back to the karma, as we discussed, there are three kinds of karma, which is very nicely explained in Bhagavad Gita: karma, vikarma, akarma, and how we should deal our lives in such a way that we are not affected by the karmic reaction. Anything we end up doing, it has some reaction, as Newton's third law suggests. Every action has got a equal and opposite reaction. So whatever we end up doing, whatever there is a beautiful shots by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj in YouTube. Whatever we end up doing, the same Newton's third law applies to us, to our families, to our relationships, to our friends, to anybody we know. If we end up doing something which is positive, you will get the effect of that equal reaction. And anything you end up doing which is negative, we will get a reaction for which we are accountable and we are culpable. So, in this beautiful verse, Narad Muni is instructing Dhruva Maharaj to be mindful. Nowadays, you hear a lot of things around mindfulness, but here we have to be mindful about the incarnations, forms of the Lord, the Tribhangi form of Shyam Sundar, Choka form of Lord Jagannath, and how they entice our eyes and be in the middle of how we can constantly think about their pastimes, the activities they have done in their dhams in various different places, and how to internally believe that and that more and more we end up doing that, we gain a lot of happiness and bliss, and our deepening of bhakti fosters when we do this aspect of mananam, or meditating in the forms of the Lord. So gradually Narad Muni is explaining to Dhruva Maharaj about the three-step process of bhakti, and it is one of the nine process of bhakti, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in this purport: hearing, chanting, remembering, worshipping, serving, offering everything to the deity, etc. So, meditating on the form of the Lord, as Narad Muni is explaining to Dhruva Maharaj, is a technique we all should imbibe on how Lord is wearing this colored dress today, and how the garlands, our volunteers, how the garlands are matching to the dress to prepare that contrast, and how we can meditate, and how our eyes are locked in the form of the Lord, and how we should see the Lord, or rather how Lord should see us by virtue of we doing the the devotional service or volunteerism, and how we can uh, impress on us, how we can transform us, how we can enhance our consciousness by doing mananam, is so nicely explained in this verse, and how we should not think that Lord's forms are some very ordinary form. And actually, it is mentioned when Vamanadev, when he came to Bali Maharaj, he was a dwarf Brahmana. But when his third leg, when his third step was going, expanding, 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 expanding. It pretty much took the entire universe. Bali Maharaj, who is one of the greatest charitable personalities you can think of, he had nowhere to hide. He had to go to the lower planetary systems. Vamanadev, a dwarf, his third step could take the entire world. Unthinkable, right? Inconceivable, right? And that's what Narad Muni is explaining. That when his step is explained, it is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, the step is going, 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 and it has taken over the entire world. It's inconceivable how a small dwarf, Vamanadev, could take over this entire world. Unthinkable. A human being in the form of Ramji making a bridge, going to the other side, and like heroically taking the enemy camp out and then getting his consort back was stolen. These are unimaginable things which is not possible in an ordinary understanding. This can only be done by a supreme personality. So that's why when Lord comes, as Narad Muni is saying, Swachhavatara. That means he comes and is at his will. Where he is going to take birth, what he is going to do, that is all his wish. But it's not the same as some of us, and we should always meditate on the forms of the Lord, which is very enticing. And so when we think about the five tenets of Bhagavad Gita, the karma is something which can be materially contaminated because we may not end up doing the prescribed duties as prescribed, which is why we keep coming back to this world again and again and again because we don't adhere to the prescribed duties. Karma is supposed to be prescribed duty, but we don't end up doing what is prescribed. We do something wrong. We do something which is not right, which is why Lord has to find a place for us next time around. If we do a good deed, urdham gacchati sattvata. That means Lord in the 18th chapter is concluding Bhagavad Gita, and in the 63rd verse, Lord is saying to Arjuna, I have told everything to you. I have told the most confident, guhyatam, most confidential to you. But now you do what you want. Lord is giving us the free will. Joicha utakuru, he says in the 63rd verse. So that means he is telling everything. Quickly, within an hour, he has explained in the Battle of Kurukshetra, Bhagavad Gita. But at the end, in the 63rd verse, if you check it out, which was one of our discussion points in the last Bhakti Vriksha, where we are systematically going. And there, Lord is saying, whatever you wish you do. Lord is not forcing Arjuna to do anything. Lord is just explaining, is going from, karma, jnana, dhyana, Ashtanga yoga, bhakti finally. And before this verse where he is giving the free will to Arjuna, he is explaining to surrender to the local Paramatma in the heart. But finally, he ends up saying, surrender to me. But before this, as you go systematically, he says, whatever you desire, you do. So Lord is giving us the free will. If you think about it, Lord is giving us the free will, and we can choose do whatever we want. He's prescribing, but at the same time, if the medicine is prescribed, you may choose not to take it. So he's prescribing. And in 18.63, he's saying, whatever you wish you do. The free will is given to Arjuna in 18.63. That's why we say we have this free will. And it is documented by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. But this free will, when it is, and then Arjuna understood. His mind is totally reformed. Then he basically takes out his bow and unleashes at the opponent because he is naturalized, he is convinced, he is transformed. The free will, he uses it for the right cause. So we have a free will, dear devotees, and how we take it to the next level is with us, and how we should understand this achinta, the inconceivable swaicha or Lord's desire is up to us. And it is very nicely explained so that we take due care in understanding that Lord's desire in instilling this Yuga Dharma in various different ways has to be internalized and has to be adhered to in order for us to progress in this journey of loving devotional service. Thank you so much for your kind attention. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Namaste. We'd like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. And we'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare,
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama,
Rama
Rama
Rama, Hare
Rama, Hare
Hare.
Hare.
Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Pradadesha Jai
Jaya Padma
Padmamukha
Mukha Padma
Padmabhindam
Bhindam, Ugram Veeram
Ugra
Ugram
Veda
Mahavishtam
Vedam
Mahavishtam
Mahavishnu
Jalantam
Jalantam
Sarvatomukham
Sarvatomukham
Natakam
Bhindam
Narsingham
Bhishtanam
Vishram
Bhadravaditya
Bhadram
Bhakti
Kimati
Pramamyam.
Nimamya.
Nrsimha Bhagavan ki jai,
Ki
Prahlad
Jai,
Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
And let's offer our humble obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas,
Vancha
Vanchakalpatarubhasya,
Kalpadarubhasya
Pavan
Pasan Bhavanti
Patanam
Pitana
Pavanebhyo,
Pavani
Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnava
Namo
Namah.
Namaha, Vaishnavinda
Ki
ki jai,
Jai,
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai,
Ki Jai,
Srila Prabhupada ki
Ki
jai,
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Hari Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you
Thank you.
everybody. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.